Have you ever wondered how well you would do trying to solve the mysteries of the Cthulhu mythos? Well, The Road to Innsmouth hopes to answer that question. Hey everybody, Jared from Board Game Apprentice here, and today we're doing a review of The Road to Innsmouth from Fantasy Flight Games. This is the latest entry in the Arkham Files universe, their continuing line of games inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's Cthulhu kind of cosmic horror mythos. This is a fully online escape room, puzzle-solving kind of game, starring Stella Clark, who is one of the investigators set in that Arkham horror universe. Now, let me show you how the game plays online first, give you an idea of how it works, and then I'll let you know if it's worth it from the perspective of someone who's an Arkham horror fan, or someone who's a fan of just kind of escape room in general. So, let's go take a look at that, and we'll be right back. So the first thing you're going to see when you open up your box is a sheet with a game code and some instructions that are going to lead you to the Hourglass Escape webpage for Road to Innsmouth, which is what we have here. So there is no dedicated app for this. It is all run through this web browser. So you should be able to open it up from your phone, tablet, your computer. In theory, those should all work. So you're going to have your game code here. You're going to have your name. I actually don't know if it matters if you put the same name every time. And then you could choose to start single player or start multiplayer. If you're playing with people, remotely in different locations, you guys can all kind of synchronize and play through this. I don't believe that the game code is one-time use. I was able to log in from a couple different devices. So I'm going to go ahead and get logged in with the game code and then show you guys what is right after this screen. So the first time that you log into the game, you're going to be prompted with this little handbook that's going to serve as a tutorial for the game. You can also hear there's some little light music playing in the background. So I am going to show you guys the tutorial here. It's not going to spoil any puzzles, so don't worry about that if you're going to play through it, but I do want to give you an idea of how the gameplay works in this. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is going to be the actual environments you're going to be interacting with. So there's these 360 environments, so you can see you could drag around these screens to look around, you can zoom in, and in the actual game there's going to be little sparkly things where you can click on it, and that'll allow you to interact with puzzles in the area. And that's going to be really the crux of the game, is going to be going through these different areas and rooms, solving puzzles, and traversing through Innsmouth. Within those areas, there might be these footprints that are going to let you move into different little sub-areas and investigate different things. And also throughout the game, you're going to be collecting a bunch of items. For example, this Esoteric Order of Dagon membership card is something we have physically in the box, but you're also going to be picking things up digitally. There's going to be a lot of items beyond just what's in the box that you're going to need to use to solve a bunch of the puzzles. But you can fully interact with it digitally here, look at the front and back, all that good stuff. But it is nice to have the physical item as well to look at and hold and look at closely. There's an inventory system in the game, so any item you pick up will be put in this inventory. You can equip it, you can zoom in and look at things, so you can do all that through your inventory system. There's going to be equipping items. So here I have the card equipped. So I select this and I'll pop it up here. I can rotate it. I can, well, that was kind of a good example. Sometimes items freeze up a little bit, which can be annoying. But here I can click on it and rotate. You can slot items into places, and that's going to be really how you interact with a lot of the puzzles, is equipping items, selecting them, doing different things. There's also a whole hint system. So you can open this up. It's going to give you a generic hint on the right here that's going to kind of point you in the right direction. And then there's 1, 2, and 3 hints that will eventually give you the full answer and kind of scale up with how obvious it kind of tries to make things for you. And you're going to be collecting a whole bunch of different, information and items, so keeping track of all that's important. Finally, before you start the game, you're going to be prompted to either select the standard game, which is fully digital, or the deluxe game, where, if you have the box of physical items, this is the one you're going to want to select. And what this actually does is, at certain puzzles throughout the game, you'll be prompted, it'll kind of remind you, hey, you have the deluxe game, this puzzle is something you should be solving with those physical items. And so that's going to be the main difference. If you have the deluxe, make sure you're selecting that before you begin. And once that's all done, you're going to go ahead and start the game, and it'll kind of read you a nice little voiceover scenario and get you started. So I think one of my biggest gripes across the Arkham Files games is that investigating and looking for clues is a core concept in all of those games. Except there's no good way to put deduction or problem solving in those games without slowing them down a ton. Right, you have an intelligence stat, and that's kind of abstracted to make skill checks to find clues, which is fine in games like that. So when I saw the premise of a game where you are in the role of the investigator and you are the person solving these puzzles in an escape room type setting, I was really excited. Like I said before, it stars Stella Clark, and she is fully voice acted, so it's cool to have some comments and get some character to these investigators that typically are just cards and you have a little blurb of lore. But to really feel the world come to life, and there's some little cutscene type things that happen, it all is really cool. The premise and the kind of idea of this, I am really on board with. I am really not a anti-app integration person, so that really doesn't bother me much at all. What does bother me is the stability of that app. So originally I tried playing this at my table with a tablet and then all the physical items out, right? Kind of an augmented reality type thing. The issue is, at least when I was doing it on an iPad, the app web browser was just really, really janky. I had to refresh it a lot, my kind of touches wouldn't register on the screen, the audio would kind of cut in and out a lot, and I found myself having to refresh over and over again, having to enter my code over and over again, and it just really kills the atmosphere when it feels like, oh, I'm doing really well in a puzzle, and I have to refresh and like redo parts of it. It just kind of kills the overall mood. I did eventually transition over to my personal desktop, and I found that doing it from the web, the desktop browser was fine. I didn't have any issues there. But at that point, I really am just playing a point and click game on the computer, right? At least at the table, you kind of have that set up. It's a little atmospheric thing, which a lot with Arkham is the atmosphere is half the experience. And having to sit in my computer just kind of spoils that just a little bit. My other issue, and this is going to sound maybe a little silly, right? Because it is called Deluxe Edition. There's no real need for any of these items, is really just how little the physical items were used in the problem solving and the puzzle solving. I showed you in the beginning of the game, you're going to select if you are on the standard, fully digital, or deluxe, and it knows you have physical items. And I was really disappointed. There was only one puzzle where it said, you have selected deluxe, you should solve this puzzle using the physical items that you have. And there was only one puzzle. And admittedly, it was cool how you solve it, but I was really hoping that these items would integrate better with the digital platform to kind of work a little more seamlessly. Because for the most part, even the items that you do have here physically, you still have to use them digitally to solve the puzzles. A big type of puzzle, this is not spoilery, is taking items and overlaying them to reveal a message or to reveal something. And even though you have the physical item in front of you, you can't put it on the screen to solve the puzzle. You still have to select it in your inventory, manipulate it digitally, and then solve the puzzle. So it really, really feels like these are just, kind of like pointless tchotchkes that you don't have anything to do with. And that was really disappointing outside of that one puzzle. The quality of these, I thought it was really cool. If you saw my unboxing, I was really excited going into this. So I was just disappointed with how little they were utilized in the entire game. Now from a puzzle perspective, I thought everything was pretty serviceable to great. There's a couple of traditional sliding puzzles, substitution puzzles, the kind of trappings you expect from a lot of these escape room type things. But there were a handful that were really felt inspired by the world and the lore, and I really did enjoy those. But I never felt super challenged, and I'm okay with that. I was more getting into this for the kind of experience and the adventure and the story. I don't know if you're someone who is really into escape rooms, that this is going to challenge you. I think for a novice like myself, I saw some interesting things, puzzles I haven't seen before, and I really did enjoy that. But be mindful, I didn't think it was anything super mind-blowing or groundbreaking. I only had to use one or two hints when things got really kind of esoteric and out there. But I thought the puzzles were pretty good. So the question is this Deluxe Edition worth it? Is playing through the Road to Innsmouth worth it? I have to say that I think the Deluxe Edition is just a little superfluous. The items are not integrated to the level I had hoped when I got this box of physical items. Like I said, the only puzzle I came across that said Deluxe was just a single time in the entire, roughly 2 to 3 hour long gameplay. So I don't think the Deluxe Edition is quite worth it unless you buy it and you share it with a couple of friends. Next time, I don't know if I'm going to go with the Deluxe Edition. I think that if you're a big Arkham fan and you want to kind of see the experience, I think just getting the, reduced priced online only version, playing through it is probably the best way to go. unless you're a humongo fan and you want some of these physical items as kind of cool collector items, that's probably the only reason that I would go for it. But I think for the broad amount of people, just doing it online, going through it once will be enough of an experience. I think if you're just an escape room person, probably you're better off going to other areas that might be more challenging or give you cooler, not cooler, but more inventive puzzles. Even as a novice, I didn't find myself super challenged or kind of mind blown by any of these puzzles. So I don't know, it's a little bit of a mixed feeling. I really went into this wanting to love it, again as a big Arkham fan, playing as Stella Clark, going through Innsmouth, and overall it was an okay experience, and I am excited to see what they do next. I think there's a lot of cool settings. I think if they refine the online service a little bit to make that smoother, that would go a long way in helping making it fun. I think these items in the Deluxe Edition have to, I don't know how you do it exactly, but I think finding ways for giving you physical items for puzzles that can be solved physically versus the app, just to make it feel like you're getting something out of this box, is going to be important. But I do hope that they continue this. I'd love to see a couple more set in the Arkham universe and using some more of those investigators. I think the overall idea, again, is really solid. If this sounds like a little bit too much of an online game to you, I think that Mansions of Madness is probably the closest thing I get to feeling like an investigator solving puzzles. That is another game where you're kind of investigating haunted areas in the Arkham world, and it is also very app-driven, and there's also some light puzzles built into it. So that's probably, before this, the closest thing to feeling like you're investigating and solving things yourself. So if you do like the Arkham world and you haven't already played Mansions of Madness, definitely worth checking that out. But overall, I think I'm going to say this is a pass unless you are a huge fan of the Arkham Files universe already. If the name Stella Clark and the Gilman Hotel and the Elder Sign doesn't mean anything to you going into this, I don't think that the experience is smooth enough or super innovative enough to make it worth playing. But if you're a huge Arkham fan like I am, I think there is some fun to be had here once you get through some of the technical annoyances that it has. But I do hope, like I said, that they do continue this, because I'd like to see where they can take it if they do smooth the app out. Have you guys played this? Have you heard of it? Are you a big fan of escape rooms? Let me know if you end up playing it below. And if you have any questions about the game, feel free to let me know and I'll do my best to answer it. Thank you guys for watching, and keep investigating. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more videos like this. I also have a Twitter and Instagram where I post thoughts and photos of games I'm playing throughout the week, and I hope to see you there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.